Friday night. All the talk from a Melbourne Storm perspective is going to be about Jerome Hughes. The teams get named late tomorrow. And that arm. And look, 2 weeks ago, he suffers the fracture.
Yeah.
It'd be remarkable to see him out there. Do you think he will be there?
It'll be a huge effort. I'm not sure whether he'll be there or not, Brace. I remember speaking only last week before the Bulldogs game. I went and spoke with Craig Bellamy when the teams were warming up. He was just in the dressing room by himself, and I said, if you get through, what's Hughes' chances? And he said, pretty good. Wow. So I think he's a chance. I know he wants to play. He wants to be available. I spoke with Jerome the week after he had the surgery, and he said it feels really good, the arm. So if he gets the all clear, he'll be there.
Is there ever that thought, Gus, that you would hold him back just in case you make the grand final and you want him picture perfect for such a big match?
Yeah, there's an old saying, in your most important battle, throw your last man in. They're into sudden death mode at the moment. They've got to get to a grand final. That's out of their mind. They've got to get this right on Friday night. So I'm sure Craig Bellamy, who's been down this road many times before, will pick the team that he thinks can win. Now, for Jerome Hughes, forget about his fracture and that sort of thing. I'm still amazed that a guy who had his shoulder dislocated just some weeks ago, and it took an hour to get it back into place. They put him in an ambulance and took him to hospital to get it back into place. I was amazed he came back in the game he did. And I think the fracture's on the same arm that he dislocated it, isn't it?
It is.
It's a big risk. It is a huge risk for him to go into this game like that. But, you know, you've got to trust the medical staff, you've got to trust the coach, you've got to trust the player. He's an experienced player, he's not a rookie. He'll tell you whether he's mentally ready not to go, whether he's physically, and he knows what it's going to take. He's not going to put his team at risk if he can't go out there and tackle with that shoulder and land on that shoulder and get up and chase and do everything he has to do. So you back the experience of the people.
His last game when he broke his wrist, I didn't think he looked very comfortable defending that night.
He didn't.
He did. He looked like he was...
He can't possibly be comfortable.
No, that's what I mean. So to then break a wrist and then to have to be worried about a wrist and a shoulder, that's...
he also doesn't just become another defender in the defensive line. He becomes a target.
Well, he's a halfback. Halfbacks are always... They're always targeted anyway.
That goes through the roof.
He plays on the right hand...
carrying that in.
He plays on the right-hand side of the field. The back rows are always targeting the inside shoulder of the halves, which is his left shoulder. So he's got to be good with his left shoulder all the time. It's going to be a big ask. So I don't know. And then on the other hand, do they carry Wishart and Pezzett on the bench? And all of a sudden you got two of the four bench players are backs. One's a halfback.
Galzer, I'm not too sure. That's a big gamble, isn't it? You know, having a half and a utility on the bench taking up two spots in such a big game. When you look at the Cronulla Sharks and they've got a big physical forward pack, and then you look at their interchange bench.
Our bench is outstanding.
That's what I mean. It's big, it's aggressive. You need to match that in these big games. So it's a huge call. It's a huge call to put Jerome Hughes in. But like Gus said, it's the big matches, the experienced players, particularly Jerome Hughes. He's the reigning Dally M medalist. He's no mug. If he says I'm right to go, I'd be putting him in.
Meanwhile, the Sharks halves, Alana, humming at the right time of the year. Hines, Trindle, they were working beautifully together on Saturday night.
Yeah, they were. And also Brayley, I think, has a big impact on the footy that they can play. I mean, their packs, brilliant. But it's the timing and also the respect for one another. They're not overplaying one another at the moment. I think the way that Trindle's setting them up and organising a little bit more, because Nico does sort of like just drifting a little bit and playing off the cuff. It's working. When one player steps up, the other one sort of knows just how to chime in and add to it in a valuable way. I think overall, though, what the Sharks are doing and where they're getting a lot of their confidence is it's not just their defence, but it's their ability to, like what Gus was speaking about with the Bulldogs, they weren't able to sort of absorb the pressure, stay in the fight and then come back. I think the Sharks are doing that really well. I think they're actually able to stay in that contest, and then when they get the chances, both Braden Trindle and Nico Hines are taking their opportunities.
I think the Sharks have shown the past few weeks they can win in a couple of different ways. They played the Dogs 3 weeks ago. They completed 44 from 46 sets of 6. They scored 24 points against the best defensive side in the comp. The week later, played the Roosters and were absolutely hammered. Hammered from pillar to post for 40 minutes of the game. First 20 minutes of both halves, and their defence held up. No, they showed great resilience, great resolve, and then when they got their opportunity, they went and scored plenty of points. And that was pretty similar on the weekend against Canberra. Canberra had all the field position, a lot of the ball. The Sharks hung in there, hung tough, and when they had the opportunity, made the most of it. So that's two different ways to win. I think going down to Melbourne, they'll be very confident. You got to remember, Melbourne leading into the semi-finals got beaten handsomely by two teams. I think the Roosters hammered them.
They had 70. They had 70.
The Roosters hammered then the Broncos. And then they only just beat the Canterbury side, who, with respect to Canterbury, I thought had a great season. I didn't think they could ever win the competition. So I think the Sharks going down there are pretty confident.
Yeah, I think it's part of their journey. I mean, the Sharks have been around the finals now for 4 or 5 years in a row. It took them 3 years to win a semi-final, just one semi-final. But what they've learned to do is feel comfortable being uncomfortable, and that resilience they've shown the last couple of weeks in particular against the Roosters and the Canberra Raiders. There was no sign of panic. They weren't in control of the game, but they were in control of their emotions and they were in control of their communication. They kept their line intact, and then when they got their opportunities, they strike. It's a really good football team that's battle-hardened. That finals football is so valuable to have that in your kit bag, and they've got plenty of it at the moment. A couple of weeks ago against the Bulldogs, it was the first time their back five had played together all season. They'd all been out injured at different sort of times, so they've actually come good. They've got full strength at the right time of the year and got their back five, which is so important to them, playing really good football. They're going to be a handful for Melbourne, a real handful down there.